the Ozzy Osbourne one. What's it called? I can't remember
Is it
the name.
Crazy Train?
Yeah, Crazy Train. Yeah. That one's very common and sometimes a little tough at like whatever
Yeah.
350 or whenever we start these races. I guess that's when I wake up 550. But yeah, you're like kind of in a fugue state during a lot of those where you're still like half asleep, but you're also have 500 milligrams of caffeine on board, and Crazy Train starts playing, and it's like it's yeah, yeah. It's a very palpable experience.
What's going on, everybody? My name is JP, and I want to welcome you into the Stable Cyclist Podcast, where we talk about bikes, life experiences, and of course, if mental health comes up, we will dive into that topic. Now, before I get this week's guest, Zach Calton, into the studio, I want to talk about our question from last week, and that was, what is your favorite gravel anthem as you head to the start line of a race? What is your gathering song? And of course, there were a ton of DMs and emails that came in and comments on the various channels. And of course, Thunderstruck was named a lot because, let's be honest, it is kind of the gravel anthem, at least for those of us in the age range that most of our listening audience is. But a few that snuck under the radar or that also came up, Kickstart My Heart. I believe that's a Motley Crue song, and that is an absolute banger. Also, Eye of the Tiger came up a number of times. And finally, this was the outlier, but I think a good one, Let My Baby Ride by R.L. Burnside. So that was past week's question. My question for you this week is more of wanting to get your opinion. I would love for you to leave comments, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify, or whether you send me a message. Who do you want to see or hear on this show? Who do you want me to try and get an interview with? Because although I do get most of my recommends at this point from our previous guests, I would really be interested in what the audience is wanting to hear, because there's been a couple suggestions here and there that make me wonder what the listening audience would like to hear. So you can, like I said, comment on YouTube or comment on Spotify, or if you're not comfortable with that, you can send me a DM on Instagram at The Stable Cyclist, or you can send me an email, and the email is thestablecyclist@gmail.com. And I really do look forward to hearing what your opinion is on things. It doesn't mean I'll be able to get them all in here, but I do like continuing to build kind of the library of potential guests. And the other reality is right now I am more or less booked out through May with guests every single week. So that is really exciting. The show continues to grow, and it is because of people like you who are listening and watching. So enough of all that. Let's get Zach Calton into the studio. Well, Zach Calton, welcome to the Stable Cyclist Podcast. It is great to have you here. Welcome, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on, and I'm looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, I think we're going to keep this one on the rails better than the last time I had some Utah guests on. We'll see. But I did get some input from Nathan Spratt on some things we're going to talk about later. So we'll
very
see.
Cool.
Yeah, so you are from Utah. I believe you're in Ogden. Is that correct?
Yep. Born and raised. Yeah, I spent a little stint in Salt Lake to go to the U, but other than that, I've been in Ogden my whole life.
Right on. So yeah, let's talk. I always like to talk early on with my guests, and I know it's like the cliche question, well, how'd you find bikes? But I think that so much gets laid down as far as the paradigm with which you look through life if we understand some of that early bike stuff. So totally. I always like to just hear how you found it, and I think you're a Nika boy if that's correct. But yeah, let's hear your story, man. How do you find bikes? How do we get into this wonderful sport?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely correct. I was a Nika boy. Prior to that, my older sisters were really accomplished runners, and they won dozens of state titles in various track and field and cross country and soccer, events. And I recently went to, actually my sister got inducted to our like high school's Hall of Fame. They've got like the wall of like notable graduates. And anyway, and she got inducted, and we were kind of talking about this, and it was just, it was really always cool because I don't know. You go through a lot of stuff as a kid, but like these moments where my sisters really like won big and shine were always like special for me as their little brother. So I always wanted to be like them.
Yeah.
And so I did cross country for a bit, but it never clicked for me. Like I never found like the like, okay, if I train this hard, maybe this will happen, or I never like got attached to the process that way or
Sure.
found growth immediately. Like I was pretty good at it right away, but not great. And I also never found like, oh, I trained and I got better. Like it was just sort of like, this just kind of hurts and kind of sucks. So
Yep.
I kind of waffled through high school about like I knew I was good at endurance, but I knew I wasn't really going to be a runner. And then finally tried NICA my junior year, did a couple races, and I progressively got better quite quickly by just riding more. Kind of found that progression that I think I was craving, and then I from there I was like, okay, I'm all in for senior year and trained really hard and ended up doing some other mountain bike racing in the spring and summer that was like the more like USAC type stuff, and then it was off to the races from there.
Yeah. So for a while, are you focused on just mountain biking? I know there's like I always talk, and Amanda Sheik has said this too, of there is pre-COVID gravel and post-COVID gravel.
Yes.
And they are like different worlds. And yet I look at your results and you've kind of surfed between them. You win Crusher in 2018, but you've also won it in this past year. So
Yeah.
how do we work towards gravel and start having success in it pre-COVID?
Yeah, I was actually talking to my wife about this the other day. She, I don't know if you follow like the ultra running space at all.
Yep.
Well, there's like a big thing going on right now called like the burrito challenge or something like that. I guess years back, Chipotle sponsored uh, like a Strava segment, and whoever did it the most during a certain amount of time won a burrito, or maybe it was like a year of burritos. I don't know. It was something funny like that. Anyway, so I guess a bunch of running shops are replacing it because I don't think Chipotle is doing it again officially. So our local running shop has one, and my wife is like competing to try and win that. And she just like said I kissed her goodbye to do the podcast, and she's driving down to that little loop in front of the running store by our local running shop and gonna go run in circles for a little while. So
Fantastic.
yeah. And I'm getting back to your question here.
No, you're good.
But I just loved trying things. And
Yeah.
um yes, like I was introduced to the sport through cross country, and then I got on like a little club team, and cross country was definitely the focus. But there was like my dad did Lotaja when I was a kid, which
Yeah.
is like our big local 200 miler that you talked about with the sprats on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to do that. So I did that pretty early on, even though I wasn't like racing road bikes, I was like cat farming
Sure.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Crusher was one where it was like I was good at mountain biking and I was like climbing really well, like locally, like on Strava or like at the group rides or whatever. And it was off-road enough. And I had a coworker, or actually he was my manager, who had a pretty sweet Norco Search gravel bike with a dropper post on it. And I was like, Juan, can I like borrow your Norco for this race? And it was literally the week before mountain bike national champs, like one of my big targets for the year.
Yeah.
And I messaged Keegan at the time, and he had done it in years past before Nats. And I was like, do you think I can do this? And he was like, oh yeah, man, send it. So I was like, anyway, I went down and gave it a go and had some good legs and ended up winning. But yeah, I wasn't like, I'm going to try gravel and develop as a gravel. I just love trying things.
Yeah.
And I think that's made me a better cyclist, long term by just getting like early exposure to riding really far, riding really long, trying different things. And then if the industry shifts towards gravel or something, you're a little more well prepared. And anyway, I brought up my wife's burrito challenge thing because she's getting into ultra running as like an adult. And I was sort of telling her, like, you've got to do these stupid things that catch your eye occasionally. Like, it's
Yes.
never like the perfect, or it's usually not the perfect training or anything like that, but you keep motivating yourself, keeps it interesting, it's fun, and then all of a sudden you find yourself being a really good runner, a really good cyclist down the road with all these different skill sets and things you've accomplished kind of by accident.
Yeah. So professionally, though, during this time, you're not a bike racer yet. You're kind of dabbling in it, it sounds like, and you're working professionally in the bike industry, though. Is that correct?
Yeah, during that time I was still in school, and then I was working at the bike shop as a mechanic. So yeah, I don't know. What defines a pro is very iffy. To me, it's like if you are
It
being
is a very
paid
loose term
paying your
today.
bills with bike racing, then you're a pro. So in my mind, I
Yeah.
was only a pro starting last year, or
Yeah.
I guess it would have been
Sure.
2024. But I was like racing the professional category, and I had like a few sponsors here and there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was very low key.
What were you,
Yeah.
what were you going to school for at the time?
I was just doing business administration at the U. And this is something I've touched on before. I'd say just business administration because it was like I sort of just like went to college, you know? It's one of my
Yeah.
things that I look back on and with a little bit of like oh man, like I wish I had, how many, I think a lot of people can say the same about their college
Yes.
experience. Um, but yeah, it was sort of like just like getting a degree, baby. So yeah, and my heart and mind, to be honest, too, were on bike racing the whole time I was there.
Sure. So how do you end up working at Specialized?
Yeah, I took a little break from racing because of COVID. I graduated college right as COVID hit, and I was going to be on like I had signed with this intense factory racing team to race cross country, and
Okay.
we were on team camp before the first race of the year, and the whole everything got shut down. Went home, no racing. The team got kiboshed quite quickly, and so I just decided like if I'm ever going to discover what life is with, not being obsessed with cycling, I guess this is a good time to do it.
Sure.
So, I mean, ironically, I got a job in the cycling industry still. Well, I just mean like the training and all that side of things.
Yeah.
And just got a, standard 9 to 5 full-time job at Specialized during that time. And then had a good group of coworkers and buddies there that, kind of we started riding again, racing a little bit, and, you know, kind of the wheels started turning again eventually, and the break allowed me to be a little more confident in my decision making. Like, okay, this is something I do really love, even though it's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time, a lot of headache. Like it's worth it to me now that I
Yeah.
know what it feels like when it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're working at Specialized and you start getting back into racing.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you eventually step away from Specialized and go full time because cycling can pay the bills. I I guess I want to hear, and I think what's relevant to everybody listening is those moments in your life where you realize it's time to step away or it's time to go take this opportunity. Did you have like a breakthrough result, or was it more kind of a slow burn to get you to the point of being like, actually, I think I'm ready to go do this, like take a full-time crack at it?
Yeah. I mean, I applied to the Grand Prix in 2020 for the 2022 season and did not get in. Um, and then I got in 2023, despite in 2022, I really didn't have any great results. Like I was working full time and I didn't race all that much in 22, but I kind of got in. I don't know. Just I fit better in 23. And I went to Sea Otter, didn't go super great. I was like mid pack there, like 17th or something. But then I was able to kind of break out and get ninth at Unbound in 23. And so from there, I pretty immediately got, a bunch of cold emails from a few different brands because it's like all the top 10's already signed, and I'm just like
Yeah.
riding in a random kit.
Who is
Uh,
this random guy?
yeah. So I think that opened some doors, and I was being coached by Keegan Swenson at the time, and also mentored. So I text him and was like, "Hey, what are the next steps? Like, what should I
Yeah.
do?" Ended up getting an agent, and yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you have to jump kind of before it's comfortable to jump,
Yeah.
and I did, and that was just going into the 2024 season where I like didn't really want to. I was, signed on to make a little bit of money from it, not a little bit, like a decent amount of money, but it was like I achieved these things while working full time. It'd be nice to just like have extra money, the stability. I already
Yeah.
have the routine, but kind of got encouraged by actually my dad was kind of the one who like kind of talked through it with me, kind of unprovoked, and was like, I think you should, make this leap now. And because, there's no better time to do it, and it's never going to feel easy or comfortable. So
Yeah.
I was kind of content to just keep the dual life going, but he kind of encouraged me to try something new, and it hasn't been easy. It's been stressful in a lot of ways, and yeah, but it's also been really cool in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Tell me about how it's been stressful.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Other than like, how am I going to pay my bills? Like that's the
right.
obvious one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I was training super hard, beforehand. And so
Yeah.
now I have all this time, all this bandwidth to train, a bit more, maybe not harder, but like, I can be a little bit more aggressive with volume, or,
Yeah.
I can recover a little bit better, or some of the double day stuff where it's like big ride and gym that weren't possible before. I can at least be more flexible with how I structure the week, because it was always just like Monday off, Tuesday through Friday, 2 hour rides, and then go big as you can on Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
At least can like move things around. But honestly, like no results came of that for like
Yeah.
a good long time.
This
And
is why I wanted
arguably,
to. Yeah,
yeah,
this is why I wanted to ask this, because I think sometimes when we move into these new roles, whatever they are, and we have the expectation that like this will free me up to do this better,
yeah,
and then what happens when it doesn't? And so
yeah.
yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, this is the crux of why I asked this question for all the listeners.
Yeah, and so it's like when it doesn't work, and you know, contract, I signed a few 2 years, a few 1 years, and it's like, I didn't quit my job till the spring of 24. And then, you race like Sea Otter and Unbound. Neither of those were, actually Sea Otter went
Yeah.
quite well, but Unbound wasn't great. And then I'm kind of like, you start talking about contracts like in like October again, and you've got like what feels like 5 more races to like, make it worth quitting your job.
Yeah.
And I had some good results. Nothing like, oh, this guy clearly quit his job and like, moved on. It was like this one went better than before, this one went worse than before. I was just sort of trading, the money was just sort of trading hands.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's just like self-doubt that creeps in from that, and like, maybe I'm at some ceiling that I didn't, that I can't break
Sure.
past. Like I'm
Yeah, sure.
reaching some sort of genetic thing, or and then there's just like, I don't know. Being busy is not is hard in a lot of ways, but you don't stew in anything.
Yeah.
Whereas you take away this big responsibility, and all there is to train, you just think about training way more. And I think that has also bitten me, where it's been like, I don't want to think about training constantly. Like I want to think about it a lot. It's something I really care about,
Yeah.
but thinking about it all day, every day, and constantly, hyper analyzing things is probably not productive either.
Yeah. So you do move into 2025, and if we're being totally honest, and I'm looking at your results and I've listened to a few other podcasts, things did not get better to
No.
start the season. Sea Otter wasn't great. Unbound was bad. And all of a sudden then you put together second at Bighorn, first at Crusher, first at Point to Point, Park City, and fifth at Little Sugar. And you threw in at the end getting married. So, okay, like marriage aside at the end, what happened? Because like you didn't have a great 24, like you said, and I can only imagine the not stewing about things that you're trying to avoid. And then 25 is not good to start.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize too, like Sea Otter was the first real race if you didn't race BWR Arizona, because everything else either got canceled mid flow or before,
Yeah.
because of fires and whatnot. So there weren't opportunities to really show yourself other than Sea Otter and Unbound. So how do you work yourself out of this funk?
Yeah. And I kind of didn't get into the, like, 24 ended really badly. I raced Leadville straight into Breck Epic, and
Oof.
Breck, and it's like supposed to be hard, like
Yep. Yep.
obviously doing Leadville and then doing Breck Epic literally the next day for 7 days or 6 days is obviously going to be hard. But I really felt like hell that whole
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
But I was still kind of like in contention the whole time, even though, everyone kind of felt bad. You're at like 10, 12, 13,000 feet during that
Yes.
race. Like you're supposed to feel a little bit just terrible the whole time. And so I didn't really think about it too hard. It was just like, wow, this is a new challenge. I'm going to rest really hard next week. And I rested really hard, and I never got better all through that. And I couldn't train. I couldn't race, and I was just kind of a shell of myself at, the last half of that year. And I took a really big break, and then the winter training seemed to go really well.
Yeah.
I actually did do BWR that you spoke of in the beginning of 25, and it went fairly well. I got fifth there, but I was like in contention for third. I just sort of blew the last little sand trap they put right before the finish.
Yeah.
Um, but like, I was nearly third at that race. I was fifth, and
Yeah.
there, you look at that list, BWR was pretty stacked
Yeah.
this
It was
year.
hitters. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I thought, like, okay, whatever that is behind me. And then I did Cape Epic, and I had a bad first day, like a bad day, like I didn't feel great. I knew that. But then day 2 through 8 were just horrible. Like, again,
Yeah.
I don't think I got my heart rate above 150 during that
Mm,
whole week, which, like, for perspective, like my usual max heart rate's like 190.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and it was just like, I just felt like sick and sluggish. And it was just sort of felt like I was like all the way back in the woes of that last fall.
Yeah. Not
Uh,
to mention you had like a series of unfortunate events that were
oh yeah.
unbelievable. If people have not listened to the daily podcast you did with Alex Wild on Trainer Road, I feel bad saying this, but I laughed out loud a number of times at the calamities that befell you that week.
It
Because it was
was
like
absurd.
yeah, it was like I couldn't write this if I was writing a book and trying to come up with like the most ridiculous things that could happen to someone. So
Yeah. And like, I'd love to be like, I don't know, it felt like it was a real physical manifestation of my mental, like,
sure, yeah,
perspective on it, where it was
yeah,
like, okay, I'm having a bad race, but not only is it bad, it's like triggering like hypochondria in my brain, like
yeah,
something is wrong with me. And
yeah,
only BWR was a fluke. Like, I had like a fluke good day
sure,
there, but this
yeah,
is like
yeah,
who
yeah,
I am now because this has been going on for like a year.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I don't know. And then, the broken wheels and the walking a half marathon during, all these things were just like, well, of course these things happen because that's like what I'm thinking about is like how much worse it can be. And then I'm
yeah,
like manifesting it, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, anyway, so not good. And then, yeah, that ran all the way through Unbound. And it was like, yeah, Unbound again. There was some semblance of good training between Cape Epic and Unbound, but I flatted within the first 5 minutes of Sea Otter, and then I crashed really hard on my face in the first couple hours of Unbound. And so I had a trip planned to New York with my dad and my fiance at the time, now wife, because he also got engaged recently. So we were doing like a double date trip to New York.
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to be off the bike because Unbound's so taxing anyway. It's a pretty common week to take off.
yeah,
But even though I only raced a couple hours of Unbound and like technically didn't need it, I still took that week. I didn't think about biking. And then when I came back from that, I fully reset. I made a few changes to my training, to my diet. I haven't fully figured out what caused these issues for me, if it was mental or if it was a mistake I was making with training or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it just took you get into this negative rhythm, like I said, where you're kind of like a hypochondriac. You kind of
Yep.
like, there's like negative self-talk, like, okay, you're never going to be as good as you used to be. Your peak is in the past, and or there's an artery in your leg that doesn't work, so pack it up, you're done. Whatever it ends up like,
Yeah.
you think all sorts
Yes.
of thoughts. I don't know how or why or what, exactly what I did, but just being able to like relax and be like, I'm really out of shape, comparatively, and I'm
Yeah.
just going to start gently and smoothly. And, new coach, I just changed a few things for my own, just because I had to refresh something.
Yep.
It wasn't like I could be like, this thing caused the issue, but
Sure.
it was just like, something is, so I have to get out of this rut. So I just changed a few things from my perspective in my training and diet, and it seemed to work. But yeah, it's
Yes,
been
it did.
refreshing. And you just, yeah, I don't really know, but like how to put it into words. But you just have to. Just had to reset my head was the main
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So as you I think in the mental health world we would call that reframing.
Yeah,
As you reframe everything and kind of reset and just gave yourself some space there, you do start having results. And you had a result at Bighorn Gravel pretty quickly after that. If I looked at the calendar right, and you get second there, then you go to Crusher, you win that. And what's going through your head as you like, okay, I kind of reframe things, I kind of reset things, and now I'm having results. You said the last time you had a big result in Arizona, you looked at it as a fluke because of how crappy everything else was. How did you talk yourself through some positive results now?
yeah. I'm trying to think exactly how I did that. At the time, BWR did not feel like a fluke. It felt like I had
Okay,
put
sure.
24 in the past. But
Yep,
then when I immediately went to Cape Epic and had these
sure.
issues, and kind of, it felt like the symptoms of the issues were the exact same as the year prior.
Yeah.
I Then I assigned the fluke status to BWR in hindsight.
You
Uh,
talked yourself into that in the half marathon walk you did.
yeah, exactly. And so I don't know. I think, like you said, sort of the reframing that was done post Unbound. I was like, what are my weaknesses? How am I feeling? How can I address them? And I just took instead of taking like kind of baby steps towards those things, I think I took, much bigger steps towards them. And I was able to convince myself that, these actions that I had taken, which were different than, from 24 to 25, I basically just said, hey, I just got overcooked by this one race, this lead breck combo, and that just
Yeah,
kind of ruined my season. And then when it reared its head again, I took just like, again, Cape Epic's really hard, whatever. Maybe
sure.
it's
Yeah,
stage
yeah.
racing that tricks it. But when it kind of just compounded all the way through Unbound, I was like, okay, I have to change things like for real now. I didn't really
Yeah,
change anything these other times. I just sort of thought, these are fluke. I signed flukes
sure.
for the bad ones, and
Yeah,
only once
yeah.
I was like, okay, something is going wrong, I'm going to actually change something, was I able to convince myself like, okay, I can be good again for real, but I have to change a few things that clearly aren't working.
Yeah. In the middle of all that, we got to see like the nerdery that you love with coaching and physiology as you put out what I can only describe as like the Zach Calton manifestos of training on Instagram. If I'm remembering correctly, I went looking for him today again and I couldn't find him, but you put out
Oh,
long reels on training,
yeah.
and they were amazing. Like it was like a mad scientist. You had a whiteboard you were drawing on, and tell me about your passion for. I don't know if you're coaching athletes or if you're just really passionate about training yourself. It landed you on the podcast of Trainer Road with Jonathan,
Yeah.
talking about training and answering questions of other guests. So yeah, I want to hear more about this part of your life.
Yeah, I love coaching. I do coach.
Okay.
I have just like a small group that I coach. With pro cycling, like it's hard. I can't coach like a full time,
Yeah.
list of guys, but I've got a small group that I coach, and it's gone quite well. And I guess I don't know that I'm a huge physiology nerd. Like I'm not studying like the Krebs cycle or anything
Right.
like that. Like I didn't get my degree in biology, but I do think people talk about training in really weird ways sometimes
Yes.
and trick themselves, and myself included sometimes. Um, and and sort of trick themselves into justifying bad outcomes with kind of cope, I guess, or justifying good outcomes that were, kind of happy accidents,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and not being very objective about things very often.
Yep.
And so I guess that's kind of more something I'm like more comfortable like calling out, and and I don't know. I think that's kind of taking objective looks at training is something that I'm better at than some coaches. Like
Sure.
and weaknesses, and being like, hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right, and working through things, and also like staying rational is
Yeah.
is something that, like, this is ironic. I just told you how I was irrational about my own thing, but I think that's also the value of a coach, right? Like you can get in your
Yes.
own head very
Yes.
easily, but it's
100%.
really much easier to stay objective about someone else's performance.
Yeah.
Um, so I do really enjoy coaching, and yeah, hopefully I did not delete those reels, so they should still be there. So
Okay. I gotta
yeah.
go dig further.
Yeah, I haven't posted one in a while. That is for sure. I have probably got to take a class in making videos. Those things take me, you saw them. They're 3 minute, I see the stuff on Reels. There's some good stuff on, like
Yeah.
high professional content. And mine are
Yeah.
like very like cell phone propped up against the wall kind of
Oh, they
thing.
were great. No, they were great though. They were
But they
great.
take
You
me like hours to make. Oh my gosh.
were.
The editing and the captions, it's very difficult. I'm
It's
horrible
all
at that.
good. It's
Yeah.
all good. People were watching them. That's what I know. So, you moved through the season. Um, I know at one point, you lost a dog that you cared deeply about, and for anybody who's never had a dog and wonders why that's hard, go pound sand. I never understood it either till the first dog I had died, and I was like, "What's wrong with me?"
Yeah.
But Nathan Spratt told me when I was messaging with him about like, hey, Zach's coming on. He's like, you got to get him to talk about how he got a dog at Big Sugar.
Oh yeah.
Um, because and I've kind of like read through your Instagram enough to like kind of glean it, but I'm like, whoa, there's like a real story here that's probably really interesting. So tell me about the dog. I think we heard bark a little bit ago. Probably
Yes.
knew we were going to talk about him. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually super crazy. So I usually am not like an impulsive person, Um but yeah, it just worked out. Anyway, so we go to Big Sugar, and for those not familiar, Big Sugar is this big circle, and the bottom here is in Bentonville, but the whole rest of it is in like mostly like southwest Missouri, and you're kind of in the middle of nowhere there. Like all of the metro area of Bentonville, Fayetteville is like down here, and the whole race
yeah,
is up here. So you get
yeah,
into the middle of nowhere pretty quickly, and I guess uh, Ethan and Molly Doherty, I believe is their last name, were out there pre-riding the course, and they found this mangy dog with a bunch of ticks and like 15 pounds underweight on the course, and they had like a SAG car with them, so they opened the car door and like let him in, and he immediately got in, was super friendly and nice, but like had clearly been outside for a long time,
yeah,
and they there's a house every mile out there maybe, and so I think they went to like the five houses this way and the five houses this way of the road, like, do you recognize this dog, is this your dog? And no one had any idea whose dog this was. So they took it into town and took him to a vet. got him cleaned up a bit, got the ticks out, got him some medication, and then had him scanned for his tracker. And there was no
Yeah.
tracker. So they ended up setting up an Instagram account because there's this kind of golden opportunity where this huge group of people are descended upon Bentonville for the Little Sugar Big Sugar week, and they set it up and kind of had everyone share it. And they were also working at the venue with the Shocks headphones brand.
Sure.
They were
Yep.
representing them, and anyway, so the word spread like wildfire. There's this cute dog at the Shocks booth, named, temporarily named Big Sugar, and he's looking for a home. And we had, like you said, we had just lost our dog like
Yeah.
2 or 3 months prior. I can't remember the exact timeline. And I saw the page and I showed my wife Lexi, and I was like, "Look how cute this dog is! Look how sad." And we both kind of looked at each other, just like. And it was immediate. We didn't say anything, but we're like, "Are we getting this dog?" Like just right away. And we don't really, I don't know. Like it just seems that's just not something we've ever done, but
Yeah.
we both just kind of got this feeling. And they were driving me out to do my pre-ride, which is going to take a couple hours. So we had to drop me off. I had to ride for 2 hours and then go back. And we started getting like really worried, like, what if he's gone by the time we get there? Like,
Sure.
sakes, do we need to go right now? And we both just decided, like, if someone gets him in the next 3 hours, like, it is what it is. Like that, it wasn't meant to be. He was meant to be with them. Anyway, so I finished my ride, no rush, went over to the venue after my ride, and he was still there. So we met him for a bit, and yeah, I just made the decision to take him home. And now he's named Hank, and he is a bloodhound, and he's the best. He's super stubborn, but he's so cute, and he's about 15 pounds heavier now, and yeah, just doing super good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your wife, Lexi, and you also mentioned the bloodline of runners you come from with a Hall of Fame sister.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to ask you about when your wife drags you out running. Is this a thing? And does it happen on a regular basis? And do you love it?
This came from the Sprats, the dragging.
Of course
me
it
out?
did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are.
They're
I think
trouble.
they secretly love running, but they don't want anyone to know, so they project this.
Well, they're triathletes originally. So.
Right. And they have run. I've seen in like the off season. They've done like, I can't remember what. There's a big 10K here called the Deseret News 10K, and I think there's a mile associated with that, or maybe the mile is something else. But Mark and Nathan, I believe, but definitely Mark ran that mile, and they did a sub 5 mile, like chip timed, like fairly recently. This is in the past couple of years, so they're runners. So I don't want to hear it. But no, I really do still have like this. I don't know if you'd call it like unfulfilled, like. Running is sort of in the back of my mind, at all times. And it's like, if this cycling train ever, stops, then maybe running, the allure of being able to train really hard on like 8 hours a week is also nice,
Yes.
Like not having to ride 30 hours a week. And I see people complaining about the price of running shoes, and it's like, you have no idea. You can get 4% faster with a $300 pair of shoes, how about 12 grand for 4%, Yeah. Anyway, so I do like running, and my wife, I wouldn't say she drags me out, but she does run ultra. And in the off season, I'll run a bit with her. I'm kind of tapering out of my off season running now.
Sure.
But she's done some pretty crazy ultra races. Like one here in Utah was a 50 miler with like 15,000 feet of elevation gain. I forget the name. That it was called the Squaw Peak. They've changed the name now, but yeah, really, really cool stuff. And it's something that she picked up after we started dating. So like I've seen her whole like arc of ultra running. And it's been really fun to see her just like kind of start dabbling in running, and then, now to be like a full-fledged ultra racer and doing the
Yeah.
burrito challenge at the at the running shop as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This is our last serious question. I guess this isn't even serious before we move into random fire, but this is not a Spratt brother question. This is a legit question for me. But after talking to the Spratts, I wondered, do you have any contract stipulations related to TNE or the Emigration Strava KOM?
I do not have any contract stipulations. I actually feel bad. So I will, I want my credit. No, I was I was on the original ride that was like labeled TNE, and it was
Okay.
just a few of us from work, and it wasn't even supposed to be like a race ride. It
Yeah.
was just like we got a ride together. Because this was in 2021, so people are kind of like just barely getting back to riding together,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so we met, and it was very chill, and just like six of us just kind of went up Immigration Canyon, went back down, that was it. And then within like 3 weeks, Nathan and Mark showed up, and just they kind of only have one speed,
Yeah.
and then it very quickly became like, oh, they're racing. Oh, there's a race every week. Oh, it's like 180 people every week, and we're getting the police called on us or whatever. Um, yeah, so that it's been really fun to see though, because I moved, or I because I no longer work in Salt Lake ever. Like I was remote for a portion, but I could always justify going down to the office, and then from there I'd be in Salt Lake already, and I'd do the TNE. So I haven't
Yeah.
done it nearly as much now that I one can ride in the morning rather than having to
Yep.
wait till 6:15, and so I don't want to be like a poser, because I honestly went to TNE like only 2 times last year, maybe. But I really do love it. I love the spirit of it. And I love that it doesn't require maintenance, because so many of the group rides around here are like, they're like led by an individual person. And it's like, if
Yeah.
they're not there, it very quickly falls apart.
Yep.
Whereas this is something that has kind of established its own roots. And people come, they don't come, but the ride's always big. And I think that's really cool and healthy, and something that Salt
Yeah.
Lake did not have for years. So
Yeah.
I love TNE. So if anyone wants to put in my contract, they're welcome to, but nothing official yet.
Okay. Well, we've kind of eased into the fun here. The last part of the show is always called random fire.
Yes.
It's all over the place. And the first question is that if you and I were to go on a real long bomb ride, and this is gravel and it's hot as cuss, and we're going to run out of supplies at some point, and we're going to have to stop at a rural gas station. And this is not a Buc-ee's. So like, I don't want to hear about like fancy things that you could get at a place like that, or like a Quick Trip or a Casey's. This is a middle of nowhere, wood paneling on the walls. They might even sell ammunition at this gas station. So
Okay.
what are you getting to eat and drink to help us get home?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's I always get 2 Gatorades to fill up my bottles, like that's like my
Yeah.
business decision. And then definitely going for an ice cream. I really love just the classic ice cream sandwich with the
Sure.
black cookies.
Yeah.
Love those things. So 1 or 2 of those. And then I'll usually, like, if I'm feeling pretty haggard, I'll go for a Monster too. A little caffeine,
Okay.
not
Yeah.
just right on the curb kind of thing. And then from there, the Haribo in the pocket is also a good one. So I'll get like, my preference is the frogs, because they're the easiest to chew, but I'll take what I can get. I don't know if the rural gas station will have frogs, but I bet they've got the bears at least.
For sure they will. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this. This is a substantial order. Sometimes people are like, Coke and a Snickers. I'm like, we're not getting home on that. So
Yeah, Coke and Snickers get you 10 more miles.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are you a music writer when oh, sorry. I have one more meal question
Okay.
before we get into music. say we get back from this big ride and you're pretty clapped. What are you dreaming of eating? And we're not counting calories or carb protein ratios, or like, you just want something to feed the beast at this point. What are you cooking up?
Ooh, I mean, if I'm haggard, I want something quick. I'm not like cooking.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
and we can head to the local like Mexican restaurant if we want to just hammer like
okay.
2,000 calories right away.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Chipotle has been thrown under the bus lately, but I love a good Chipotle run. And
Yep.
just a burrito with literally everything on it. Steak, black
Yep.
beans, white rice, guac, queso, lettuce, the whole thing, veggies. And I love a good Chipotle burrito after a ride.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Okay. So back to my music. Do you listen to music on the bike?
Yes. Yeah, most of the time, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is in your what is in the Zach Calton's hot mix?
What? This is such a boring answer, but it's hard. It's like, what isn't in there kind of thing for me. I will say I do not like the like screamo. Is it even metal? I don't know. I'm
So,
not.
so
I'm not.
Keegan was
Yeah.
coaching you at one point, but not giving you music recommendations.
Not at all. Yeah, I stayed with him in Tucson once, and he was like, you got to check this song out, because um, he'll wake up quite early, and I'll walk out at 7, and he's already up with a cup of coffee, and he listens to music on his headphones first thing, and he'll like hand me the headphones, and he's like, you got to listen to this. It's like 6:40, or even before shootout, it's like 4:50 in the morning, and it's just like the craziest, screamiest music. Anyway, that has never been my cup of tea, but almost anything else. So that is a little bit of a contrarian take in our space. I've noticed a lot of the gravel guys love that stuff, but yeah, not my thing. I'll listen to a lot of stuff though. I like throwing it back. I'll even listen to country, which is a controversial one too. So
Not to Ian Boswell, it's not.
is it not?
But
Okay, good.
he
Well, you and
he
I can
loves
listen to
like
music
old
together.
school country, so yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And he said
Well,
he'll
then he'll
listen to
probably
it while
call me.
he's like
Yeah,
setting KOMs. He'll play it. So
that's
yeah,
funny. Nice.
yeah. Okay, so Dylan Johnson said that he believes that there's an Eminem song that gives him 10 extra watts when he's doing his workouts.
Oh
Do
yeah.
you have a song that you dial up for extra watts?
Yes. Yeah. Forever, which is from the LeBron James like movie with Drake and Kanye West and Lil Wayne and Eminem as well.
We're going
That
hard, yeah.
one goes super hard. Yeah, and that was like, I think that came out when I was in like 7th grade, so it's kind of like it was like implanted in my brain during my
Yep.
formative years there. So that one will always
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Almost everybody's answers to that type of like, if you got one song,
Yeah.
it's all from when we were in like high school, middle school, college. That's it. And then it's like a vault door shut on all our lives and we don't
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
music is anymore.
You get stuck in time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You have been on a lot of start lines
Yeah.
where music is getting pumped to try and pump you guys up.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there is a most played or an overplayed song that you know every time you go to the start line, I'm going to hear this song today?
The Ozzy Osbourne one. What's it called? I can't remember
Is it
the
Crazy
name.
Train?
Yeah, Crazy Train. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that one's very common and sometimes a little tough at, like whatever,
Yeah.
350 or whenever we start these races. I guess that's when I wake up, 5:50. But yeah, you're like kind of in a fugue state during a lot of those, where you're still like half asleep, but you're also have 500 milligrams of caffeine on board, and Crazy Train starts playing, and it's like yeah, yeah. That's a very palpable experience.
That is a fantastic description of
Yeah.
that time period.
Yeah.
Okay. We have one more music question. There, many people believe this is not a fictitious scenario, but I'm telling you, it is a fictitious scenario. If the Holy Spirit and I were to hold this is not real, an event at Emporia, an activation that was a karaoke night, what song would you come and sing at this karaoke night? That's not real, but if it were, what would you come do?
Yeah, and I'll hold you to it not being real. But this is so funny. I swear I'm not like that into rap, but like one song I know every single word to is Money Trees by Kendrick Lamar. No, excuse me, I misspoke. Swimming Pools, I think. I don't know the title, but I know all the words.
That is amazing.
Yeah, Swimming Pools. That's what I meant to say. My bad. Yeah.
Anyway. That answer alone is worth trying to manifest this thing into reality.
No. You said that was fictional.
Okay. Moving on. Are you into Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Harry Potter. I'm not sure if I'm proud of that answer, but that's the honest truth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're of the age that you kind of grew up with Harry, I think, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. They were coming out right, and I read all of them right as they came out. I mean, at least like by the time I could read, I think like 3 or 4 of them were out, and then like
sure.
5, 6, 7, or I guess 6 only. They made 7 movies, but 6 books. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were sent to Hogwarts, what do you believe? Where would the Sorting Hat send you? What house?
Oh, man. I feel like, I don't know if you're allowed to say this about yourself, but I feel like it'd be like Ravenclaw. Like one of the other two, one of the non-2 main ones. I don't know if I'm like a classic hero or a classic villain kind of guy, but I'm just like, I'm there,
Yeah. No, that fits with I kind of try and like, this sounds terrible, but I kind of like try and profile all my guests ahead of time with what I know of like, where would they fit? Because I know I'm always going to ask this. And even as the interview's going, I'm always thinking about it. And I was like, I think you are a Ravenclaw. So yeah, that's all good.
I'll take it. Yeah. I feel like that's better than Hufflepuff, right? Like just going, yeah, I think that's better. There's not a ton of information about the other 2 houses in any of the books, but
I interviewed earlier today. I interviewed Julian Gagne, and he said,
"Oh yeah,
we're really not told anything about any of the other houses. We don't get to see what life is like." And I'm like, "Yeah, no one has ever said that before to me. Like that's true."
I completely agree. I'm sort of just going off of like they kind of got a cooler crest, I think, than Hufflepuff, and I'm not sure I'd fit in either of the other 2 we know more about. So
sure,
yeah,
okay, fair enough. All right, so the next question I have is called the Wahoo question because they support me, but you can name whatever head unit you want and it won't offend me. When you are racing your bike, these are 2 different scenarios. One is racing, one is training. What's the main screen you're looking at all the time?
I mean, none of these races mark their courses anymore. So I've got a map up all the time. So map with 3-second power. And I'll change, like, I only use a Edge, is it a 530 maybe? It's like a pretty small one. Yep. I don't have a big one. So by the time the map's up, you've got very, like, limited real estate for any data. So then I'll have, like, 3-second power and then just either speed or, like, total distance, depending on which I think is more relevant to that race.
Sure.
And then I'll occasionally cycle through just to see like, okay, like, if I want to see like a little lap split or something like that, especially when you're bridging back up to a group or you think it is bridging out, like I'll hit lap like a bunch of times, get like, okay, they just passed that tree, hit the lap. Okay. I'm 23 seconds behind.
Sure.
I do that a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And how about when you're training?
When I'm training, I've got a lot of stuff up. I know like the cool thing these days is to be like the minimalist with like one thing up. But no, I've got like current speed, current like total distance, lap time, heart rate, power, I've got like a big screen with like 12 things on it.
Whatever will fit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Are you a road or mountain bike pedals guy?
I am a big switcher. Like I'm very, I guess I'm probably a mountain bike pedal guy,
Okay.
honestly. I would say that answer has changed. I really felt that the road pedal thing was like this marginal gain in like 2023 that was like,
Yeah.
you can make it work. Like it's this many grams, it's a little more aero, your shoes are lighter, and I have definitely abandoned that line of thinking. And if there's any hint of mud, I'm mountain bike pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. How about solo riding or group riding?
Man, that's tough. But I would say the honest answer for me is solo. I do a lot of my training solo, so I guess
Yeah.
that's probably my subconscious speaking, So solo.
That's okay.
But I
None of
love the
these
group
questions.
riding I do,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's none of these questions are meant to like reveal your inner soul or anything. It's just more out of
No,
like
they
genuine.
are. They are. Bring it on.
Okay. Next one might also, if you are approaching somebody, say on a bike path or maybe on the mountain bike on single track,
Yeah.
are you going to bell or yell?
I am a yell. I do not bell ever, but I also don't really yell. Like I'm pretty docile on the bike paths, or a single track. I'll just be like, "Hey, what's up? Like, can I
Yeah.
get by?" Like I prefer to just like talk to them because it's like, I don't know. People freak out. If there's plenty of room, I'll zoom by on the left, but like if there's any like you're in my way, like I'm just gonna talk to you kind of
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, these next two questions, Silka sponsors, as I work with them. And the night before the race, what are two things you're for sure doing to your bicycle to make sure it's ready on race day?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely waxing my chain, for sure. So shout out to Silka. And trying to think if there's anything like super noteworthy. I mean, I go over pretty much every bolt with a torque wrench, which I think is like a lost art these days. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how many people are doing that. And I will typically like pull my bottom bracket off and like take the seals off and like give it a degrease and a regrease like pretty much before every race. So I'm getting down into it. I don't know. Is
For
that
sure
is
you are.
yeah, yeah. Is that like I mean I worked in a shop for like 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yep.
why not? But
100%. So then the next question might not be relevant, but what is the most neglected maintenance on your bike?
I mean like for training, just like day to day typically. Yeah, I mean
Sure.
I pretty much I'm rocking a stalactite from like sugar bouncing out of my bottles and then like, you know, crystallizing. That's pretty much a full-time thing for me. Especially in
Okay.
Utah in winter, like I have no outdoor water right now. And so
Yeah.
I don't know, before it felt like before wax was like big, I felt like you had to get your bike washed, otherwise you were like destroying your expensive
Yeah.
drivetrain. Whereas
Yeah.
now it's like the drivetrain is like clean and good to go, and
Sure.
and then but your bike still collects dirt and crap, but that
Yeah.
doesn't really like hurt the bike necessarily. So I'll leave that stuff a lot longer than I used to because I don't have to degrease my drivetrain lest I ruin my whole drivetrain in a few weeks. So yeah.
Fair. You could when we're done here while your wife's out running laps for burritos, you could sneak the bike into the shower for a little bit and take care of it if you need
Yeah,
to.
that is true. I usually find I'm bad at that. I think that whole system is way more difficult than people make it seem like it is, cleaning the bike in the shower.
It always seems like a great idea until you're in there with it, and then it's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I've
This
tried it in a
doesn't
few
work.
hotels, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. Like, we'll drive 40 minutes to a car wash. I don't care.
All right. What's the race you've done that you feel like everybody should come and do?
Ooh,
Probably are crossing Cape Epic off that list, I'd say
yeah,
right now. So.
negative on Cape Epic. Uh, I would. It's a toss up for me between Point to Point and True Grit.
Mm,
Um, I really think the mountain bike course at the True Grit Epic is really good and very underappreciated.
yeah.
Um, and Point to Point, I think, is a little more aptly appreciated, but is still so good that I think is still worth mentioning. Both of those are really awesome, and it's so rare to get a proper, like, I think people will do marathon mountain bike racing and enjoy it, and get some parts of what I think a marathon mountain bike race should be. But even most races are still a lot of fire road, a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
transfers, double track. Whereas these races are like true mountain biking, pretty much from start to finish.
Yeah.
And those are hard to find, and I really love those races because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won Park City. Did Gordon win True Grit last year? Wadsworth?
I don't know. I don't think he won the 50, which is
Okay.
the 100 has a bigger prize purse, and but it's also not, like, it's not technically 100, and it's just a two lap of the one course.
Sure.
So he may have won the 100, but they've always included the 50 in the stage race, which is kind of a
Okay.
newer thing they've done. And then it's just like when I was coming up, it was like if Keegan showed up, he was racing the 50, and Alex Grant,
Sure.
who's an Olympic long list
Yep.
guy, he raced the 50. So I've kind of always focused on the 50. So,
Sure.
but I feel like Gordon is one to do the 100, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
most typically. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I know it's a real course because he only shows up at like that kind of course where you got to
yeah.
problem solve the whole time. So
Oh, it's
cool.
it's you got to be a good rider to do well there for sure.
Yeah. What is a race that you haven't done but you really want to go do?
Oh man, one of those week-long Canadian ones
Hmm.
seems really cool, like BC Bike Race,
Yep.
or like a Trans Cascadia type event. I think sounds really cool. I mean, riding in Utah is just it's just a different. The dirt's very dry, and it's
Yeah.
in southern Utah it's very rocky, but up here it's like dusty and just kind of different. That, like, Pacific Northwest, very green, evergreen, mossy, sort of granite type riding is something that every time I get the chance to do it, I really enjoy, but I just never do. So
Yeah.
I'd really love to spend more time riding and racing in that area.
Absolutely. All right, final one for you here. We get a little more serious with this last one, but still fun. For you, who is bringing you inspiration on a day-to-day basis in life? And I always say this could be family members, this could be people around you, or maybe it's something that brings you inspiration. But what inspires you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I'm really close with my siblings. So I have three older sisters, and yeah, we've just been very close, and gone through a lot together, and it's really, like, tightened up our bond, closer than I think a lot of siblings are, and I'm really grateful for that. And I've looked up to them, and their their husbands, my brother-in-laws, have been around. My sisters are 3, 6, and 9 years older than me, and they also
Okay.
all, like my sister that's 9 years older than me got married when I was like 14, and my sister that's 6 years older than me started dating her husband like when I was like maybe 10. Anyway, they've all been in my life for as long as I can remember. Like, I can't really remember my
Yeah.
sisters without their partners. So I
Yeah.
feel like I have like 6 older siblings, and they all have like really interesting stories and really strong work ethics and super grounded perspective all the time
Yeah.
that I can apply to anything. And so I've always really looked up to them.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful, man. Zach, where can people find you if they want to follow along with your story in the upcoming year as you take on the Grand Prix and everything else?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on Instagram at Zach Calton. I'd say that's sort of where I'm putting everything right now. So yeah, right there.
Fantastic, man. Well, I just appreciate your time and appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and being vulnerable at times today. And this has been awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks, John.
Thanks for hanging out with Zach and me today. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and share it with somebody. And if you really enjoyed it, if you could like it on YouTube, and if you're listening, give it a 5-star review over on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. That would be absolutely amazing. Like I said, a big slate of guests coming up in the next few weeks and months. The guest that was actually supposed to be in this slot today, typically this is the media slot, but there was an incident at a punk rock concert that I'm sure you will hear about in a future interview. But that guest could not be here today, and so we moved Zach's interview up. So I do hope you have an amazing week. I hope you are finding ways to get outside and enjoy nature, even if you live in a super cold climate like I do. I am, by the time you're listening to this, I will be on an airplane headed to Arizona, where I have some filming to do over the next 48 hours, but I am really excited that you were here with me today, and more than anything, I hope you remember that you are loved.